What is up, Yankee fans? I'm Ryan from Fireside Yankees, and the New York Mets have just signed Bichette to a 3-year, $126 million contract. We're going to break down what this could mean for the Yankees, how it affects the free agent market. An unexpected splash here. We're live in an unexpected day, at an unexpected moment, in an unexpected time. We're going to break this down, talk about the New York Mets, talk about does this, I imagine this could take them out of Bellinger. We'll talk about if that's the case. We'll talk about kind of where this what other teams could suddenly jump in on Bichette. I'm very curious to see how this is going to play out for the free agent market. If you're here, if you're around, I understand this is out of nowhere, but we're going to do some of these reactions. If you're here, say what's up, say hi. I appreciate you guys showing up on short notice, but we're doing a lot of these reactionary things to just kind of, give our input on how it affects the Yankees and talk about things and, get an opportunity to talk to you guys. Always love chopping it up with you guys. The first thing, are we going to get anybody? Oh, my God. The Yankees were not in on Bichette. I said this for weeks. They were not in on Bichette, but this confirms what I had said was always the case, which is Scott Boras was never going to be convinced that the Yankees were in on anybody other than Cody Bellinger, seriously. So that's still the case. The Yankees are still going to be looking at Bellinger. The question becomes, does a team like the Phillies pivot to Bellinger after losing out on Bichette, which would definitely scare me if I'm a Yankee fan. Now, that is something I'm just curious about. I'm curious about how that's going to play out. The reason this is also not good for the Yankees is the fact that now the Mets are more positioned to trade for a starter rather than sign one, which affects their ability to go out and acquire Freddie Peralta. And the reason this is a positive is because he's not on the Blue Jays. And the Blue Jays strike out on both Bichette and Kyle Tucker. Now, I personally believe that we will see how this plays out, and we'll see kind of how the free agent market plays out and the trade market plays out. But I have my odds of the Yankees getting Peralta have decreased in my mind. The odds of the Phillies landing Bellinger have obviously increased a little bit. I imagine there's no confirmed reporting that they're in on Bellinger. There's no confirmed reporting that they are in on Cody Bellinger, and I think it was more likely the Mets would be in than the Yankees. The reason I also say this is because the Yankees have a weird situation with their this is a weird situation where the Yankees do have the aggressive offer on the table for Bellinger. So I do wonder kind of how aggressive the Phillies would even be for Bellinger. I know that their GM came out and said their outfield is set. I just don't buy that. I don't buy that as a thing you say and then you have no opportunistic pursuits at all. But I guess you could also argue why would they have been in on Bichette and not shown any interest in Bellinger and then show interest in Bellinger? I'm not sure that's... Yeah, I'm not really... I guess that doesn't really play out logically in my own head, but we'll see. I mean, I think the Yankees not having to deal with the Mets on Bellinger is nice. I don't think the Blue Jays have a logical fit for Bellinger, or the Blue Jays don't have a logical fit for Bellinger. And I know a lot of people are upset, oh my God, we didn't get Bichette. They were not going to get Bichette. I've been saying, the reason I think I'm going to be a lot more tame about this and not really care at all is because, I had zero belief he was going to end up a Met. My only concern was that the Blue Jays would get more active and land the player. That was my only concern. That was my only concern with Bichette. Had no belief the Yankees were ever going to be in. Did not think the fit made any sense without moving on from a different player and increasing your payroll and giving up draft picks and taking yourself out of signing a qualifying offer player. I think that there was never a world for me where the Yankees were going to sign Bichette. Never a world. Let's get to your questions here. Yankee fan 777 saying, what's up? What's up, my man? Devon Patrick is here. Thanks for doing this, Ryan. Appreciate you for being here. Gar5888, definitely a reaction to the Dodgers signing Tucker. Absolutely. Sport in Thing shows, does Cody come back now? I still think he's coming back, but definitely a little bit of a seed of doubt with the Phillies, because the Phillies, I guess, could be in, although I guess I'm kind of this is speculation. I've been speculating that they should be in on Bellinger and that's a good fit for them, but they've never been in on Bellinger. They haven't really been in, so I guess I'm just kind of sitting here and being speculatory, right? Definitely a reaction to if they end up with Spencer Jones starting in left field, I'm going to lose my mind. I agree. Got to say, Bichette getting $42 million a year is a sign that free agency spending might be out of hand. For short-term deals, yes. But that's just because you're paying extra AAV because you're not paying for term. You podcasters and YouTubers look like morons again, huh? No, I didn't think they were going to get Bichette. At no point did I think they were going to get Bichette. So you can try and find the point in time where I tweeted out that the Yankees are going to get Bichette. You can try and find a video and see me saying, yep, the Yankees are likely to get Bichette. Or you can look at the hours and hours and hours and hours of live streams where I said they're not getting Bichette. Bellinger's their only guy, and breaking down that that's part of the reason why Scott Boras is kind of holding out the way he is, because he's aware of the fact that the New York Yankees really only have interest in Cody Bellinger. So you can rewind the tape and check that. Check the tape. That's what the tape says. Cody Bellinger will be a Metropolitan. I think this takes him out of that. How does it even make sense for the Mets? He makes them better. They can move Beatty to first and have Vientos and Beatty play first. That's a pretty solid first base situation. They can have Bichette at third, which is what they're reportedly going to do. Simeon will play second base, and Lindor will play shortstop. So that's a pretty good infield. That's a really good Met lineup, too. You look at the Met lineup with Bichette in it. It's a really good team with that, with really good offense with that in place. So that is the appeal, that you're improving from Mark Vientos at first base to Brett Beatty at first base and Bichette at third base. And Beatty's a good athlete. I know Polanco's technically a first baseman, but you can put Polanco at DH. That's why they signed Polanco, because you could DH or put him at first. You can move him around a little bit, and that's part of the appeal with Polanco as well. So, yeah. Which starting pitcher the Mets going to use this, use Vientos and Beatty to acquire now? Yeah, I mean, I've sat here and said if the Mets don't sign Valdez or don't sign a pitcher, I expect them to be the best suited team to acquire Freddie Peralta. That opinion has not changed. And I said this a lot, not to try and be an a-hole or to doom and gloom and this, that, and the third, but more so because they have a really good farm system, and they have the upper level minor league pitching depth and the major league pitching depth that, well, you know, the Yankees also have, but that the Mets have more of. Now, I personally believe we're going to see the Mets go out there and be aggressive in the pitching market. They need a starting pitcher badly, especially one who's a good pitcher. We'll see. I mean, again, we'll see if the New York Yankees can end up winning games, and if they can end up performing well and get Bellinger back. That's really the thing they have to do. Let's see what else we got. I kept saying let's go get Bashette for third, but hey, the Mets are doing it. Yeah, again, I think that the Yankees weren't going to get Bashette to play third because that would require moving off of McMahon, and they weren't going to move off of McMahon's contract because there's not going to be a lot of takers there. I think Belly could be going to Toronto. They missed out on Tucker and didn't bring Bichette back. I think that kind of tells you more of financially what they're not willing to do. Why would they not give Bichette a 3-year, $42 million contract? It's what? Let's say you give the reported Bellinger contract, I think, is like $31 million. Signing bonus is going to pump that up a little bit, probably close to the $33, $34 million range. If the Blue Jays want to match that, they would be matching it and essentially increasing their payroll by a similar amount as to what they would be increasing it to get Bichette without giving up any draft picks, which they also aren't doing for Bellinger, and giving out less term and getting opt-outs. It feels like a very weird thing for the Yankees to do, or for the Blue Jays to do, to not be in on Bichette and then be in on Bellinger. That is an oddity to me. And that's kind of where, again, I don't really think the Blue Jays have an outfield hole. And they're not going to kick $70 million of Santander to the curb, mostly because no one's going to take him. But you can't just cut a player who's got $70 million in 4 years owed to him on his deal. Like, that's just kind of where we're at. I better not see Jones or Dominguez starting on left on opening day. Well, even if they bring in Bellinger, technically that could happen if somebody just gets hurt. Thank God Judge hit free agency when he did. He would have got $90 million AAV in this market. Yeah, there's definitely that, like, hey, somebody could have given him like a 3-year, 4-year opt-out heavy $250 million deal. Aren't these Yankee know-it-all special, LMFAO? I mean, Chris Kirshner came on here and said the Yankees weren't going to get Bichette. Jack Curry said the Yankees weren't going to get Bichette. If you paid attention to the people who matter, they told you they weren't getting Bichette, and we second that sentiment here on the podcast. So, not really sure. I guess John Heyman thought that they could have been in on Bichette. Not really even. He didn't think they were going to be. Did anyone really think the Yankees were in on Bichette to a degree that they were going to land him outside of like fans, which is a different conversation. That's just wish casting. That's not really a thing I hold fans. Like, fans shouldn't be held accountable for wanting things. The Yankees are not in the market this year. They're in on Bellinger. It's what I said. The Yankees are in on Cody Bellinger. They're not in on anybody other than Cody Bellinger in free agency. Ryan, Yankees shouldn't be waiting for Bellinger. They need to pivot. Freddie Peralta now, as Jason161 River Ave said this morning. Yeah, I think that you can trade for Freddie Peralta without signing Bellinger. You can do it before you sign Bellinger, before he signs anywhere. And they should do that. But now the Mets have the ammo to do it, and they have the connection with Stearns. F it, Bellinger, run it back 2026. Yankees don't give an F about winning the World Series. I disagree. I mean, like, okay. Do we think the Toronto Blue Jays are unbeatable without Bichette and Tucker? Do we think they're unbeatable without Bashette and Tucker? Like, this is, I don't understand how this is like a net. If you're a Yankee fan and like today is all about like, oh my God, we didn't get Bo Bichette. Like, I guess that's fair to be disappointed about. But if you listen to this podcast, which I assume you do because you watch this stream, you should know they were not in. They were not going to acquire Bo Bichette. I mentioned this to you guys earlier with Jack Curry, what he said. Chris Kirshner came on here and really dumbed down the idea doubled down on the idea, that they were not really going to be getting Bo Bichette, and that he could go off the board before Bellinger did. And that exact scenario ended up playing out. So, that's the reason why I'm not really like pessimistic about this. I don't feel like the Yankees struck out on a player they did not have any interest in, a player that the Yankees did not have any interest in, did not sign with them. That is this. I react the same way. This isn't even like the same as Tucker, where like I really thought the Yankees should have been in on Tucker. I did not think the Yankees should have been that in on Bichette. I didn't think he was particularly special for the Yankees because he was going to play second base for us or third, and that would require you moving off of McMahon, which would require you attaching prospects or eating money or salary, and increasing your payroll exponentially to get better at third base. When I think it's easier and a cleaner fit to get better at left field. So yeah. So what's the situation? What came out about the Phillies? What happened with the Phillies is my question. The Phillies had agreed to Bo Bichette's request for 7 years, $200 million, and they believed they would sign him until the Mets swooped in and gave with a 3-year, $126 million offer after losing out on the Kyle Tucker sweepstakes. So again, that's a little bit concerning for your like the Bellinger stuff, because if they decide they want an outfielder, if they're willing to pay Bichette $200 million, I do wonder if they're willing to pay Bellinger what he's looking for. Now, they are different players. One is 27 years old. The other is 30 years old. So, like, do the Yankees view him as a do the Phillies value this guy very much? I guess that's really the conversation. And if so, and if they believe this guy is a stud for them, then that does provide a little bit of worry. But they gave him $200 million for 7 years, and they thought they had the player. I know Robert Murray mentioned that he thought that this was done at some point during the evening. As a Yankees fan, I'm dying inside. Again, they weren't going to be in on him. I'd rather let Dominguez platoon with Hayes than overpay a lot for Bellinger. You know, me personally, I don't know how I feel about that. I think at the current offer the Yankees are at, I would just do that over bringing in Hayes, because I think you just get better offensively and defensively. But if it costs more than 5 years, 155, yeah, I'm not bringing my offer up. I'm not bringing my offer up at all. This offseason is terrible. Yeah, it's been boring. But there's still time for them to do things. There's still players out there that they're hopefully going to be in on, or not hopefully, they are in on. Phillies are going to go hard for Bellinger, and they always go crazy on years. Yeah, that's a concern that they're going to go crazy for Bellinger. But again, if they're not willing to go to 7 years, then there's that. I mean, we'll see. I'm just shocked that Bichette turned down $200 million. I'm not shocked, because he can just hit the market, and get $200 million again next year. Because if teams are willing to give him $200 million this year, why wouldn't they give him $200 million? Like, why won't a team give him $200 million next year? So that's kind of part of this conversation as well. Brewers are spineless if they trade Freddie Peralta to the National League, and more specifically David Stearns, who left them. That's not spineless. You got to think, Crater. You got to take the best offer. You got to do what's best for your team. So, yeah. Does this Bo Bichette signing give the Yankees a slight break in the American League East? The last 24 hours are incredible for the Yankees' chances of winning the American League East. In the last 24 hours, the best player on the market went from potentially signing with the Blue Jays to not signing with the Blue Jays. And their backup plan, which is another really good baseball player, did not sign with them either. Their incumbent player left them. And the Blue Jays showed no financial interest in matching his demands. This is an incredible sequence of events if you're an American League team, especially in the American League East. Now, obviously, it depends on what the Yankees do following this. How do the Yankees improve their roster elsewhere? Do the Yankees improve their roster elsewhere? But this is certainly the Blue Jays are not better than you by a margin that you need to look back and go, well, no, this is an insurmountable. They're not better than you by a significant margin anymore. That conversation, I think, is dead for me. It's not impossible for them to beat you again. They're the better team right now. You don't have Bellinger. They're the better team than you right now. But I simply don't believe the New York Yankees should be looking at this and go, wow, what a terrible sequence of events. I'm looking at this and going, this is an incredible sequence of events for the New York Yankees. an incredible sequence of events for the New York Yankees. They went from, oh my God, they're gonna see the Blue Jays sign one of the 3 best position players available on the market to they're not signing any of them. So yeah, you still think the Yankees get Freddie Peralta? They're still in, but I think the Mets ultimately land him. That's just my guess. No postseason and watch it'll be Boone's fault. I'm just trying to understand, guys. What is like the why are we under the belief that like the Yankees are in a terrible spot in terms of contending for the American League? The guy, Bichette, went to a National League team. He did not go to the Blue Jays. He did not go to the Red Sox. He did not go to the Blue Jays or anything. He went to a team that does not affect your chances of winning the division. And, like, I understand. Like, I want these players. You want good players on your team. And if they don't get these good players, yeah, you freak out. If the Yankees don't get Bellinger and the Yankees don't trade for a starting pitcher, like, yeah, like, that's bad, man. That's no es bueno. No es bueno. But if they bring back Bellinger and they add another starter, like, yeah, they're in a really good spot to win the American League East. Now, the other 2 teams you're really competing with are the Red Sox and Blue Jays. Orioles should not be discounted in this, and they're all good teams. But none of them made themselves, like, dominant outlier contenders. Granted, all it takes is a couple injuries, and you're not really good, and, you know, all that. I get it, but, yeah, again, I just don't, I don't know. I don't freak out when the Yankees don't get a player that I didn't think they were in on. I freak out if that player goes to a team that they're competing with. I freak out if a team that a player they should have gotten does not end up here. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. If the Yankees don't get Bellinger, they're a last place team. I disagree. I disagree. Mets paying $42 million a year for Bashette is ridiculous. Remember, it's shorter term. So because the term is shorter, that is why you're paying more. So, like, you can't compare, like, Bichette's AAV to, like, Aaron Judge's AAV, even though Aaron Judge is getting less AAV than Bichette, because Bichette is only getting 3 years and Aaron Judge getting 9 years. So, like, you know, it's just different. It's not really comparable situations. You know, I'm not trying to be that guy in terms of not trying to like say that Aaron Judge were paid or anything, or like that's nothing of that sort. I'm just saying that, you know, the New York Yankees are a team that paid Aaron Judge less AAV for Bichette, or that for Judge than the Mets did for Bichette, because they're getting 6 more years of Aaron Judge. So, yeah, that's my TLDR, right? I don't think it's crazy because you're only paying for short term. They're at best a sub 500 team. Projections have them as a above 500 team. Projections have them as it's kind of like a locked in playoff team. So, yeah, like I don't know. I err on the side of like projections and math and that stuff when it comes to like assessing the roster. I think that it's really hard for you to look at them and say they're not a playoff team right now. That's like my thing. I'm not saying that's good enough. Like, the standard is a World Series. That's my standard. It's World Series or you didn't do your job. It's World Series or I'm going to sit here at the end of the year and tell you about how the season was a disaster or a failure in certain ways and aspects and break those down. But just because that's my standard does not mean I'm going to be – I'm like, how do I put this? I believe – the Yankees standard needs to be World Series or bust, because that's the Dodgers standard, and that's always been the Yankees standard. I understand this is a league where you can't guarantee a World Series. There's a decent amount of variance in like how the postseason works and all that, this, that, and the third. But let's run down the playoff teams or the American League. Let's run down the American League, right? Blue Jays, Red Sox, Orioles. I think the Yankees are worse than the Blue Jays, about as good as the Red Sox, and maybe a little bit better than the Orioles. But like all four of these teams are like in the same band of wins. Let's say the Yankees finish 4th in their division, right? Let's say, so 2 wild card teams and a division winner. You get a division winner in the AL Central, you get a division winner in the AL West. Which other even if, again, like we're playing in a scenario where the Yankees are in 4th place. Are the Tigers better than the Yankees? Are the Royals better than the Yankees? Are the Astros better than the Yankees? Are the Rangers better than the Yankees? Are the Rays better than the Yankees? The answer is no. The answer is no. Answer is no. It's absolutely not. They're not. He's just not. They're not better than the Yankees. So when we sit here and we have the conversation of, and I also don't understand the Red Sox have beat the Yankees in a series. Let's play this game of like, if the Yankees had lost Cody Bellinger and brought in a bunch of pitchers and Wilson Contreras, I think we'd all be sitting here and saying, not good enough. Not good enough. The Yankees were a better team than the Red Sox last year. Granted, right now I think they're about as good as each other. But if you think the Astros are better than the Yankees right now, you think the Astros are better than the Yankees right now? If healthier, absolutely. How are they better than the Yankees? What do the Astros have that makes them better than the Yankees? The Astros have Zach Cole in left field. Jesus Sanchez is hitting 6 for them. Christian Walker is their 5 hitter. Lance McCullers Jr. is one of their 5 starters. Lance McCullers Jr. sucks. He had a 6.51 ERA. He keeps getting hurt. That team is not better than the Yankees. Sorry. You have the better player than your best player is better than their best player. They've got multiple incredibly injury-prone players. If you could guarantee that the Yankees are healthy, you are a better team than them. Like what? Yeah, if Judge were to get hurt, if Jordan gets hurt, if Altuve gets hurt, which are far more likely outcomes. How is Jason Dominguez is better than Zach Cole? One of the worst left fielders, Zach Cole. Who is Zach Cole? Come on, guys. Come on. Like, okay, I understand. Like, I'm not telling you they're the best team in baseball. I'm not telling you they're as good as I need them to be. But we can't have this conversation fundamentally if we can't have this conversation if we can't fundamentally agree that this is not a worse team than the Astros or the fucking Rangers or the fucking Rays, the Tigers. Like, are you kidding me? The Yankees won 7 more games than those teams, and have better rosters than those teams. In what universe? If you want to say, well, if Judge gets hurt, the Yankees are worse, why don't you do that with every other team that you're talking about them with? Yes, if the Yankees get hurt, they won't be as good as some of the other teams that are bubble playoff teams. But if they end up as healthy as the Astros, if they're essentially what they are right now, and the Astros are what they are right now, the Yankees are the better freaking team. The Rays are not sneaky good. The Rays suck. The Rays are not sneaky good. The Rays' 5th hitter is Cedric Mullins. Their leadoff hitter is Gavin Lux. Their bottom of the order is Jake Fraley, Taylor Walls, Chandler Simpson, and Nick Fortes. Steven Matz is their 4-starter. They're not sneaky good. That team stinks. If this was the Yankees, you'd say they fucking suck. You would say you would call that a 60. You would be saying the Yankees are contending for the 1st overall pick. That team fucking blows. That team blows. That team's terrible. Terrible. I'm comparing the Yankees to teams that are going to be competing for them with the wild card. If they finish 3rd, they'll make the postseason. I'm not telling you that they're a great team. I want to clarify what I'm saying. The Yankees are not good enough for my standard, which is trying to win the World Series. But at the same time, the Yankees are absolutely freaking they're not a team that wouldn't be in the postseason if we played the season today. The AL blows. Most teams in the AL suck. The only reason that you're going to have the Guardians potentially make it is because they play in a terrible division, and they suck. The Tigers stink. The Astros stink. The Rangers stink. All these teams stink. By the definition of the Yankees stinking, if the Yankees are not a good baseball team, all these teams fucking suck. Yeah, and them being a wild card team is not good enough. It's not good enough. The Yankees being a wild card team is not good enough. Because, Mikey, my argument is against the idea that the Yankees are not a playoff team or a last place team or are not going to be in a postseason if the way that things are right now, that they're not a playoff team. I am saying that is not good enough for the Yankees to say, well, we're a wild card team. That's not good enough. It's not good enough. But just because that's not good enough does not mean that they're not that. You get what I'm saying? Making an incorrect argument because you are frustrated that the Yankees are not good enough does not make the argument more valid. The Tigers, dude, what do the Tigers have? The Tigers won 87 games in a terrible division. And let's be honest, I'm saying the Tigers, they're going to win the division in all likelihood. The Guardians stink. You're better than the Guardians. So even if the Tigers are better than you, the Guardians aren't. They're not going to make the postseason over you. The idea that the Yankees are not a playoff team, or that we judge the Yankees fairly. We don't judge the Yankees fairly as Yankee fans. We judge them unfairly, which is fine. We're allowed to. We should judge them the way you judge the Dodgers. That's how you should judge the Yankees. We're Yankee fans. You should judge the Yankees with the standard of they must be the best team in baseball, or this is not good enough for me. They must get better. That is the way you should evaluate the Yankees. But you should not, that does not make an untrue statement true. Does that make sense, everybody? Hope that makes sense. Hope my argument makes sense. I can't get the idea that they're not a playoff team. The Marlins are not better than you. What are we fucking talking about? The Marlins are not better than you, dog. The Marlins suck, and they're not even in your league, so who cares? But they suck. Drew Anderson is the Tigers' 5th starter. Wenzel Perez hit sixth for this team. Colt Keith is their leadoff hitter. Which Colt Keith's actually pretty solid. I can't hate on Colt Keith. I actually fuck with Colt. But like these are not guys who are better than the Yankees hitters. Sorry. Hate to say it. The Blue Jays releasing Joey Profito is not the same as they still have 5 outfield. Like they have Lukes and Straw on the bench, Santander's in left, Farsho's in center, and Barger's in right. I guess they could replace Barger with Bellinger. Like that could make sense. But again, like I think they needed a middle infielder more than they needed an outfielder. But that's just me. The Mariners are I counted them. I'm saying if you like the Mariners are going to win their division probably. So division winner. There's 3 division winners that make it, and there's 3 wild card teams. So find me the 3 teams in the American League who are not winning their division. So you have to pick 2 AL East teams probably. Find me the non-division winner. So like a team that isn't the Astros, the Tigers, who are better than you in the AL, or the Mariners and the Tigers who are better than you. Astros aren't that. Guardians sure as shit aren't that. Rays aren't that. If the Yankees lose in the wild card round, it's not good enough. The Yankees make the postseason in the wild card, they better win the fucking World Series. The Yankees are not good enough. Hal has not put together a good enough team. Brian Cashman's not put together a good enough team for me to be happy about the offseason. As things stand right now, if the Yankees walk into the year with this team, this is a D at best offseason. A D at best. D for doing something. F would have been doing nothing at all. But we can't sit here and pretend they're not a playoff team. The AL sucks. They are a playoff team as things stand right now. Like, we have to recalibrate how far away this team is from winning their division. Their division is good, but their division is not does not have a Titan in it. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what this ends up being. But, look, we'll see what ends up happening with the Yankees. I'm going to be curious to see how kind of things will shake out here, how the Yankees are going to how things are going to kind of shake out for the Yankees. Like I really am curious to see how this market shakes out for Bellinger, because I wonder the teams who didn't get Tucker, the teams who didn't get Bashette, like how are they going to react to that? No, I said the Yankees can't win a World Series right now. They're not good enough to win the division or good enough to win the World Series right now. They're not. They need more. They need more. That's what I'm saying. That's exactly like I want to clarify. I got to clarify my statements very well here, guys. The Yankees should be expecting to be a World Series contender every single year. Every single year. Every single year. Every single year. They're currently a wild card team. That's not good enough. They're a wild card team in a bad American League. Really just in a league where like 5 teams really care. Like 5 teams really care. Right? Yeah. So that is the crux of what I'm saying. That is a TLDR on what I'm saying. They're a wild card team, but that's not good enough because you're the Yankees, and you should be like, hey, we're gonna be the best team in the division, best team in the AL. Like we should be the best team in the AL. That should be like at least that should be the barometer for like, okay, that sits with me as like decent enough. Let's go play some baseball this year. Like that is where my head is at. And I want them to win the World Series. And if they don't win the World Series again, like I'm not gonna be like, oh, what a year, what a phenomenal year, oh my God, like no, absolutely not. And look, sports talk. Yes, technically, if you make the postseason, you can win the World Series because baseball's a pretty weird sport, and you know it's a very random sport at times. But I do believe there's a little bit of like the Yankees don't have enough for me to really seriously like the Yankees would need a miracle, I think, or it would be incredibly unlikely for them to win in the postseason. That like I don't want to be an unlikely pennant winner. I want to be a team expected to win the pennant. That is what I want. I want the Yankees to be a team expected to win the pennant. So if you are a team expected to win the pennant, that's different, right? Because then if you get to the World Series, if you want to say, all right, if we get to the World Series, we'll kind of see what happens there. That's different, right? Like you don't want to be a team that's like, all right, let's hope that we can upset a team in the wild card and the division series and the AL series. Like that's just no. You can't. It's really hard to do that and consistently win baseball games and go out and win a World Series. So yeah, I don't think Brett Beatty's going to be a target. Not so fun family vision. So yeah, we didn't barely make the postseason last year. We won 94 games. What are we talking about? We did not barely make guys. I'm kind of at the point where it's like, I don't understand. What are we talking about, guys? Like, are we looking at the same? Are we talking about the same season where the Yankees won 7 more games in the wild card 3? 7 more games in the wild card 3. 7 more. They won 7 more games in the wild card 3. They did not barely make the postseason. They almost won the division. They did not barely make the postseason. What happens to expecting to win? That is what the goal should be. If they don't win the World Series, not good enough. I can settle for, all right, we're the best team in the American League. I can settle for that, but that's not good enough for me. Because, how do I put this? Preseason expectations and then actual result. If you are a team that should be in the World Series, you can win the World Series. So if you can win the World Series, then if you end up, then I'll wait to kind of be upset until they either do or don't win the World Series, right? Like I'll give them the benefit of the doubt in the sense of, like, let the season play out, complain about the season when it's over, right? Like, that's where my head's at when it comes to, like, contender with results. But that only happens if I expect you to be a World Series threat. If I don't expect you to threaten for the World Series, then I'm going to be upset all fucking year, where I'm going to say every time they make a misstep, of course they made a misstep, this team isn't good enough. Like, that's what I'm saying. My preseason expectation definitely affects how I view the season in season and when I'm willing to throw in the towel and things of that nature. Because, like, if the Yankees are, I don't know, 3 games back of first on June 1st, and I expect them to be a World Series threat, I'm not going to throw in the towel on the World Series. But if they are a team that I expect to get like I'm not sure if they're even going to make the postseason, and they're 3 games out of a playoff spot, I'm going to say, of course they're 3 games out of a playoff spot. This team wasn't good enough. So that is what I mean by, like, I think I can settle for them being a legitimate, like, they're supposed to go to the World Series. They're not. I agree that they're not a World Series team right now. This is not a World Series team right now. I agree. I'm saying that is my standard. That at the end of the season, you will get a joyous, no complaint podcast just glazing the Yankees if they win the World Series. You will not get that if they do anything short of that. When the season concludes, when the season begins, my assessment of the roster will very much heavily affect how I react to things that happen in the season, because if I expect them to win 86 games and they're playing like a team that's 500, I'll say, okay, this was just a team that was capable of being 500 this year, doing what they could have done. That is what it is. I don't know how else I can explain this. Am I explaining this in a weird way? Like, I think this team is going to make the wild card as things stand right now, because they are projected to be one of the better teams in the American League. The American League stinks. They're clearly, like, they are clearly better than the other teams on the periphery of a wild card spot. And it's not even definitive that they're not the best team in their own division, because everyone in their own division is kind of the same. No, I'm saying, I did not say if the Yankees bring back Bellinger, that is the only thing, and if they do that and that alone, that they have an actual shot at the World Series. They'd have a non-zero chance at the World Series. That is what I would say. They'd have a non-zero chance at the World Series. I don't think I'd be stunned, because if Garrett Cole comes back and pitches well, like, there are things that could go right for you to make you a contender if you brought back Bellinger, but it would not be good enough for me to be like, okay, I expect this team to be in the World Series. I'd say they clearly left themselves with weaknesses that can very easily creep up on them. So that is my assessment of the roster if they bring back Bellinger. If they bring in Bellinger and then add another starting pitcher, somebody like a Freddie Peralta, I'm going to sit here and tell you they brought back Bellinger, their defense should be good, their lineup should score a good amount of runs, and their pitching staff should be very good. So I expect that team to be a World Series contender. So that is what I'm trying to say. That is my assessment of the roster in these scenarios. If they do nothing, if the Yankees do absolutely nada, they absolutely strike out in free agency, this is just a wild card team that could be pushed out of a wild card spot depending on where some of the premium free agents land, because some of those premium free agents could end up going to places that affect your win total, such as in your division, such as another American League team, like if the Tigers add somebody, if the Astros add somebody, things of that nature. So again, the assessment of this roster is that they are a wild card team, but they need to be aggressive because they need to try and be a clear-cut World Series contender, because that's my standard. Boom. Okay, good enough. What? No, I'm not saying a wild card is good enough. How many times do I have to say this? Oh, my God. I'm sorry, guys. How many times do I have to say this? I'm not saying a wild card is good enough. I just said yes. It should be. If they don't win a championship, I'm going to sit here on the podcast at the end of the year and tell you it's not good enough. They didn't do their job. If they're three games back in the division and it's the deadline, I'm going to say they got to push for it because they're not the best team in their division and they got to be better. That's what I'm saying. They're a wild card team, and that's not good enough. But they're a wild card team. They're not a team that stinks the way that like the fucking White Sox stink. That is what I'm saying. That they're a wild card team right now. I'd expect them to be in the wild card. That's not good enough. I would expect this team to not win the World Series. And when they eventually not win the World Series with this kind of roster, I'm gonna sit here and tell you, hey, that's what you should have expected, and that wasn't good enough. Bang, okay? They need to be a World Series standard team. That needs to be what they do. They need to go out and get better. They need to bring back Bellinger. They need to add a starter. I prefer Freddie Peralta, but we'll see. They did not barely make the wild card last year. They won 94 games. They won 94 games. They were 7 games ahead of the 7. The Yankees could have had a 6-game losing streak to end the season, and they would have won the wild card. So they still would have been in the wild card series. They did not barely make it. Who's an offensive bat I would trade for? Ryan Jeffers. Go get a right-handed bat for the catching position because you need somebody who helps you hit against lefties. The Yankees should look at the situation they're in the American League, which is Blue Jays aren't dynamic anymore. They don't have like a dynamite, insane god tier roster without Kyle Tucker there, and definitely without Bichette. You should go out and push for it. Go get outfield support. Go get starting pitching support. Go get another right-handed bench bat. Go do what you got to do. I think that right-handed bench bat being Jeffers makes so much sense. I think if you can get Freddie Peralta, again, I'm really concerned that the Mets are going to do that, but it is what it is. If you line me up with Bellinger, Peralta, Jeffers, I like this roster a lot. Now, I don't love the bullpen. That's a little not here nor there. I don't know if I'd prioritize a bench bat or a reliever. And yeah, I am getting trolled, I guess, at this point. Yeah, I think I'm just getting trolled. But if they can, I don't know, would you guys rather actually, I'm going to put a poll in this. This is going to be a poll. You guys tell me what you think. Okay. Let's see. This is a good poll, actually. I don't know how I feel about this. If you're the Yankees, obviously, don't vote on this in the perspective of another team. But what do you think the Yankees need more? A bench bat or a reliever? I think that's probably my first and only rant. So yeah. First and only rant of the year so far. I'm sorry. I don't have any water in here. I need water. We'll see what the Yankees end up doing here. I'm very, very, very curious to see how the Bellinger stuff happens. Hearing the Yankees are unfazed by the Dodgers Tucker contract. They're not budging on their reported 5-year, $155-$160 offer for him. According to one source, they will not engage in a bidding war for him. They're at where they're at, and that's not changing. So yeah, I guess this is if he gets a better offer, he's gone. If he doesn't, they're gone. So yeah. I wouldn't. Do we mostly agree that we wouldn't give Bellinger more than this? I wouldn't give him more than that. Like I wouldn't give them more than that. 5 years, 155. Can you tell me on the pen if they add one more righties and Weathers is there midseason? If they add another reliever, yes, I can sell you on that because it depends on the quality of reliever. But if you have a 4-man reliever group, like let's say you insert a guy who is like a setup level or a close to setup level guy, if you have Bednar, who I think is a good closer, Cruz, Doval, and then another bullpen arm, like that's good, I think. If you put Weathers in there too, you get more velo. There's definitely risk there. Like that's not an elite bullpen. I'm not going to sell you on an elite bullpen. It's a solid bullpen, something special. But they've got enough swing and miss upside, which is where I think there's a little bit of, like, for me at least, I would be in on that bullpen. Do you think the Phillies can be more interested in Bellinger since they lost Bashette and their outfield kind of stinks? Yeah, that's like the logical bet for me. I think that's kind of where I'm at with that. But yeah. It must suck to be a Blue Jays fan. They're always getting teased. Yeah, that's fucked up. I'm not going to lie. Like, it's kind of fucked up. All right? It's kind of fucked up. That's my TLDR. That's kind of fucked up. Yeah. Bet is going to get paid. I don't think the Yankees are not budging their offer. They're not changing their offer. Ryan Jeffers isn't good enough. I think Ryan Jeffers is a good catcher, period. If he's your backup catcher, he's a great backup catcher. He's a great backup catcher because he kills lefties. Like, I disagree. Our shortstop's trash. Yeah, shortstop room isn't great. Ryan, what do you think about putting together a package for Buxton, Ryan, and Jeffers? Who would you give up? You're trading your entire farm system. Everyone's gone. LaGrange, Elmer, Warren, Dominguez, fucking Lombard or Kilby, one of them have to go. Like, they're not pulling that off. That would be insane. You'd have to pull off an insane price for deal. Extremely fair deal, but a compromise at 6/180 might need to happen. I don't know if they do it. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think they do it, man. I don't think they do it. The issue is that the Phillies and Elchin, I agree with you. These orgs can see Belly's home road splits too. I firmly believe the New York Yankees were in a good spot because the Mets never really had that. Like the Mets and the Mets and the Blue Jays, their ballpark doesn't fit Bellinger as well as Yankee Stadium does, but Philadelphia fits that well for him, which is a concern for me. Buzz going to the Blue Jays, just saying Toronto's limited by Pal's budget. Toronto didn't get Tucker, and they didn't get Bichette. If this happened to the Yankees, if the Yankees' top two offensive targets, one of them being their incumbent, left, we would be sitting here and calling them cheap. So I think that's a little bit much. Weathers and Heel could become relievers halfway through the season. That improves the bullpen. Yeah, I agree. And Warren, too. Hal's going to say no Belly, but you can have Michael Conforto instead. If we do that, that would obviously blow. I'm saying Buxton, Joe Ryan, and I'm saying it's going to cost you Lombard. Like, you're going to have to trade Lombard, Elmer, LaGrange, Warren, Dominguez. All five of them, at the very least, and the Twins might say no to that still. What's the option once Belly's gone? I don't think it's a once. I think it's a if he's gone. I don't know. I think it's like I'd sign Framber Valdez. That's what I would do. I know he's like a fucking head case, but I'd sign him and trade for an outfielder to go get like a super rotation. Philly's a threat. Yeah, it kind of just feels like they should be a threat. If they're not a threat, like they're an idiot. They're an idiot organization if they're willing to pay Bichette $200 million but won't improve their outfield. I'd rather they just get healthy again and let him develop into the ace he ends up capable of being. Well, he's going to get an opportunity to start. It's just if everyone's back and healthy and he's not performing great, yeah. New York might sign Bader. I don't want Bader at all. Bader is not a good fit for the Yankees. He does not hit lefties. He's not good. No way's bueno. Yeah. Yeah, he can be our head case. Look, Framber Valdez, as long as he doesn't hit one of our catchers, Framber Valdez can pout and be a complete fucking asshole loser. If he's pitching well. I don't care what he does as long as he's pitching well. Well, short of criminal activity, of course. But, yeah, if the Yankees don't care about the off-field stuff, which they might, like, if they do, that's different. But, like, if they don't, then fucking sign him, dude. He's clearly one of the better pitchers in the game. And if you lose Bellinger, like, that is a logical step you could make. While we're in fantasy land, how much to bring in Barry Bonds? Is it really fantasy land to say, like, well, it's fantasy land for the Buxton, Jeffers, Ryan thing, but I didn't suggest that. I don't think it's fantasy land to say if they don't get Bellinger, they should get Valdez. I don't think that's fantasy land. Like, the Heyman thing felt like I at first was like, is he a Boris client? He's not a Boris client, so this is not Boris leverage. I think he should do nothing. Jones can hit 50 this year. If Spencer Jones hits 50 home runs, I will buy a Spencer Jones jersey. And I will, that's not really a threat, really. Is that, like, I'd buy that anyways. Chat, well, hold on. I'll lower the bet. 30 home runs. Let's fire this. And this poll. All right. Oh, I think I just broke the chat. For myself, at least. Did I break the chat? All right. Valdez will be a Met. Well, they can't. They can, but I don't know if they're going to. Are they really going to go out there and acquire another guy with a qualifying offer pick? That was why I didn't want them to. That's why I didn't want them to be in a situation where they had to, like, I don't know. I didn't really want to see them. I didn't want to see them in a situation where they were, I don't see them in a situation where they're giving up 4 draft picks. Sorry, I'm stupid. I think Brendan Cuddy put something out, but I'm just trying to try and check and see where it is. Okay, I don't get the sense to change their thinking much. Okay, so that was from yesterday, so that's not new news. Let's see what else we got. Ryan, do you like Luis Ariz? No. Give away 100 Spencer Jones jerseys. Okay, let's be realistic. I am not that rich. I don't got bread like that, fellas. I think we re-signed Belly. I agree, but like I think the Phillies are more of a threat than I would have. Like I considered the Mets and the Dodgers, and the Mets and the Phillies like zeros. They had no chance in my opinion. I had zero faith they were gonna do anything like that. Yeah. Like I felt zero threat. Yankees can afford to wait on Bellinger. They can't. I don't think they are. I don't think they're waiting on him to make a Peralta trade. There's nothing that I imagine that's in that deal that's contingent on that. But we're going to start wrapping things up here. Just wanted to drop in and talk about this a little bit. We'll see what ends up happening here. We'll see what ends up happening here because this is an interesting situation where I have no idea what the Yankees' next step is outside of Bellinger. I have no idea how this will affect the market, and I really wonder how this is going to go. Yeah, we'll see what ends up happening. We'll see what ends up happening, fellas. So, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I just sneezed. I'm going to get hand sanitizer. And, I'm not giving out. I'll give out a Spencer Jones jersey. I'll do that. I'll give out maybe 2 or 3 if he gets 30. But like, subscribe if you want us to be able to afford 10 Spencer Jones jerseys. Like and subscribe. We appreciate you guys tuning in here on Fireside Yankees. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see what ends up happening. Stay tuned. I'm not around after 6, but I'll be back around like 10, 11ish, and we'll TBD that. We'll TBD on if I'm back to react to anything or not. But yeah, guys.